Good day, good day. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Jay, and this is Homeschool Your Kids podcast. Today we have with us Mary. Mary, introduce yourself.
My name is Mary Middlebrook, and I'm a former homeschool mom. I started in 2006 with my youngest son. And then in 2011, I became an independent educator, teaching other homeschoolers in my home, co-ops, and in their homes. And then in 2015, I launched my own online school, nextlevelhomeschool.com, and have been an online educator ever since. And recently opened up a new educational business called IndyEd.com that we'll talk about a little bit more today.
Nice. Okay, okay. You got a lot going on. So
A
what
lot.
brought you to the homes what brought you to the homeschool world?
Well, it's so funny because everyone has such a unique story as to how they got into homeschooling. Like no two stories are alike, and so mine is a little unique as well. Um, we adopted a 10-year-old boy from Russia, and he did not speak English, and we did not speak Russian. And this was in 2005. We owned a very large business in Southern California. My oldest son was going to a private Christian school because education has always been super important for us. We put our new youngest son into that same school, and they had no idea what to do with him. Like,
Uh,
none. He was completely lost academically, linguistically, emotionally, socially. He was drowning.
mm,
And we knew that moving him to a public school system was just going to make the matter worse.
yeah.
So we made the decision to sell our business in Los Angeles and move to Colorado. And that my oldest son would continue he would go to public school at that point because the public schools were really good there. And I would homeschool my youngest. And that is how I got into the homeschooling world. And back then in 2006, we were teaching secular academics. There were no resources. It
Mm,
was so difficult to find what you needed. Nowadays, everything's at your fingertips, which
indeed.
is wonderful. But back then, like if you wanted to do secular academics, there weren't all of these online options. There were no online options. There were no Facebook groups, support groups, things like that. We basically had to just order like old school textbooks off of Amazon and work from that. Well, fortunately, the homeschool situation has changed so much in, these last, well, actually, in just the last 4 or 5 years, it's changed drastically. But since 2006, definitely a lot more drastic. And then I got into the homeschool education business because as my son got older in 2011, he was a teenager. He didn't want to go out and socialize. So I'm like, okay, well, if he won't go out to kids, I'll bring kids to him. So I have a degree in marine biology, and I thought, you know what? I'm teaching him marine biology anyway this year. So why don't I just invite local kids in? Let's do this as a class. And we did, and it filled, and it was very successful. And when it was over, everyone was like, okay, what's next semester? It's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know, maybe geography. And we did that. And then from there, as my son got older and eventually graduated, my focus turned more toward homeschool education. And that's been my journey.
So, okay, because I'm still stuck on you got him from Russia. Like he came
Yeah.
from Russia and there was a language barrier. How did y'all
Yeah.
overcome that? And how long did that take for y'all to like, did you learn
Well,
Russian? Did he learn English
no,
quickly?
he
Like how
learned
did
English.
okay.
He learned, I mean, he didn't have a choice. He was thrown into the deep end of the English pool with no lifesaver. So, we had some friends that could do translating and things, but that's not for everyday life and everyday
Yeah.
living. And so he was just immersed in the English language. We knew a few words in Russian and kind of got by with that. But lots of hand gestures. And
Mm,
you would be surprised how easily you can overcome language barriers, especially with kids.
I know.
And I mean, literally within 6 months, he could speak English I mean, you wouldn't say fluently. I mean, he could hold a conversation. I mean, he couldn't hold like a technical or a medical kind of a conversation. He was also 10, but I mean, he had, he had his language skills down, and within a year, he had basically forgotten his Russian. Either that or he wouldn't
Really?
speak it, one of the two. Yeah. So yeah, you get through with what you got to get through. I mean, now I live in the country of Panama, and I've lived here for almost 4 years, and my Spanish is no bueno. So I have enough to
Really?
get by. Yeah, I have enough to get by, but it's that same kind. Now I know how my son felt getting thrown into a different
Yes.
culture, a different language, and just trying to have to fight and get your point across whatever way you can. Hand gestures, noises, pointing, all of that kind of thing. It all works.
Right. So you say you have a degree in marine biology. So what were you
Yes.
doing with that prior to starting the educational thing?
I was in the marine aquarium industry.
Oh, wow.
So I had been in the marine aquarium industry since I was 17. Started working at pet stores. Then once I graduated college, I opened my own pet store. And then I sold that, moved out to Los Angeles, started working with the large wholesalers that import fish and corals from all over the world, especially Southern Pacific, Indonesia, Fiji, Australia, Solomon Islands, Philippines, those sorts of areas. Learned what to do and what not to do from those wholesalers, and then went and opened my own. I was the first, and I think still the only woman to have her own import wholesale business in Southern California. And we imported fish and corals from all over the world and sold them to pet stores across the United States. And that was my job. Even while I was homeschooling, we sold our main business because I couldn't deal with all the live animals anymore, but I was still involved in the industry. And that was about 25 years of my life.
That is amazing. I was gonna say your life sounds so exciting. Like y'all be doing some stuff. But we haven't even got to how you're in Panama now, but let's stay focused. Let me stay focused.
Stay focused, stay focused.
All right. So when you started the group for your son, because you wanted him to be, with his peers more, were it just his age as far as who you were inviting to your home to
Yes,
teach? It was teenagers?
yes. It was teenagers mainly. Yes. Upper middle school, lower high school, at that point.
Okay.
So yeah, and that tends to be where my focus still lies, is with middle school and high school.
High school. Was
Mhm.
because it was like a form of a co-op, right? Or
Well, when I first started, no, it was just
okay.
me in my house with one class. So by that time, we had Facebook. We didn't when I first started homeschooling, but by 2011, we had Facebook. And so I just posted on some of the local groups and said, hey, I want to do this marine biology class with labs. It's going to be however many weeks I set it for, I forget. But if you're interested, let me know. And yeah, it filled. We had 12 students, because that's kind of like
12.
when I'm
That's what I
teaching
was gonna
live.
ask you. What was your cap?
Yeah.
Okay, 12
Yeah. When I'm
students.
teaching face to face live, like 12 is definitely the cap. If you start getting too much over that, then the children take control.
Very
And it's
much
hard,
so.
and it's hard to wrestle it back. So with 12 and under, I can keep classroom management. But
Yes.
now I understand. I mean, classroom management with homeschoolers, especially back then, it was very different because parents are so involved with their kids. So you end up with very well behaved kids who are interested in their academics and interested in what you're teaching. So you don't have behavioral issues and things. So that's nice.
It is a different feel.
It
Um,
is.
so how you say you don't remember how long you were doing it, but how long in that day, like how long did you meet with them?
Oh, it was just, I think maybe like an hour and a half class or something like that. Yeah, once a week.
Nice.
Hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, and so from there you grew to say, okay, this needs to be online. Am I missing a
Well,
step?
from there, I
Oh,
grew into doing co-ops.
okay.
At that point, we had moved back to Los Angeles. And so then I was working in a homeschool co-op in Los Angeles that primarily served the Orthodox Jewish community. And I worked with them for many years. My classes were extremely popular. They would sell out almost as soon as they were listed every semester. And we always had to turn people away. And parents were like, Mary, can you please put your classes online? I'm like, absolutely not. I don't know how to do that. No, I don't know what that is. I can't do that. So no. But as demands for my time, because when they couldn't get the co-op classes, then they were like, come to my house and teach me here. And teach my kids in my home. And so I only have so much time. And the demand was huge and my time was limited. And I was like, okay, I've got to look into this online stuff. And so that's when I actually spent 3 months in Costa Rica. And I thought, this might be a really good kind of entry point into the online class thing. Let me see how this goes. I'm going to film everything I'm doing in Costa Rica. I'm going to create a class about the science, the history, the geography, the culture of the country. We'll just see what happens. And I filled that class with 30 students. It was an asynchronous class. I filled it with 30 students almost immediately. And from there, it just took off. And we've been going strong for 9 years.
That is so amazing. I'm just so glad that you're sharing this, because I know there's a parent sitting there like, hey, I want to teach this or I want to teach that. And they don't understand the demand. Like there is a demand for it, even if they don't think it is.
There is a demand for passionate educators. Don't feel like you have to have, a master's and a teacher certification. You don't. I've always said that my marine biology degree, has it helped me? Absolutely. Did I learn how to teach marine biology at university? Absolutely not. Okay. I know people with doctorates in marine biology who could not teach marine biology to middle and high school students. So the education factor isn't necessarily that big of a component. The knowledge factor is, the passion factor is, and the ability to take whatever subject it is that you want to teach to children and break it down in a way that they can completely understand it. And I think that that's where, not to be tooting my own horn, but I think that's where my strengths lie. I've always been able to take complicated, because I teach science. So told you dogs would bark. Stop that. So I've never been able to control my own dogs, but been able to take very complicated subjects, because I don't teach surface skimming, junky science. We go deep. Yeah. We learn the details, not just the big picture. We go in on the pixels in the big picture and really to understand what's going on. And those are complicated topics. And so to be able to break those down in a way that's fun, engaging, and humorous, but getting the point across and making it possible for those students not only to understand the topics, but to retain them long term. Yes. That's always been my goal, because I have this thing that I always say, is your child doing or is your child learning? Because those are two different things. You can set your child in front of one of these, all-in-one, easygoing programs, click a button, watch a video, try 50 times to answer the 5 questions to get them right, and move on to the next thing. Okay, maybe you feel good because your kid is doing school,
completing it.
But is your child learning? Yeah. Are they learning anything? That's the question that needs to be asked. Is your child learning? Because if they're not retaining that information, they're wasting time. And wasting your money.
Very much
go away.
He's like, who are you talking to? He wants to know.
Yeah, dogs. But yeah, that's the thing that I've always wanted to do, is set the bar high for kids, not just set it to low. What can they do? I don't consider students just being able to get through something an accomplishment. Yeah. What are they gaining from it? What are they retaining from it? Are they able to take that knowledge into the real world? Which is something else that's really important to me. Like with my online classes, we have hands-on projects. I want the kids out from behind the screen, and I want them taking what they've learned and applying it in a hands-on way, because when they're doing that, that's when they're really able to start retaining information. And, at my school, we're never like, okay, here's your assignment for the week. I want a 2-page, 1-inch margin, double-spaced essay on, octopus or whatever. We don't do that. I say, okay, here are like 3 or 4 different things that we talked about today. You pick the topic that's most interesting to you. Here's the information I want on that topic. And, it can be a plethora of things. You deliver that information to me however you want. Do you want to write a report? Do you want to make a video? Do you want to create a poster? Do you want to make a model? Do you want to do a skit? Do you want to compose music? Do you want to do Minecraft? But I don't care the format. I care about the information. And so it lets the students use their talents and skills and interests and passions to apply to the lesson plan. And at that point, they're really, really engaging.
So it's like you're turning them into the teacher.
Yes, in a lot of ways. And in fact, that's something we're getting ready to do with IndyEd next year, is start an entrepreneurship program for students who want to teach online and teach to their peers. There are a lot of kids out there with a lot of passions and a lot of excitement about learning. And we're going to be starting a program at IndED.com where kids can come in, go through a mentorship program, and start putting classes online and teach their peers and actually make money, have a little business doing that.
Yes, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a wonderful opportunity, because like you said, there are a lot of kids who are very passionate about subjects that could speak on it for
forever.
Yes.
And a lot of these obscure things that we don't even think about, as adults, that these kids are really into. So yeah, I think it would be a great opportunity both for the kids to be able to express their passions and create a business around it and have that mentorship support of other online teachers helping them learn how to create that business, and for other kids to be able to be taught by their peers. I mean, how fun is that? I mean, yeah, it's cool, I guess, to be online and be taught by some adult you don't know, but when you're able to be taught by another kid, it adds another level to it.
It does.
Yeah.
Definitely a different feeling. Okay, so from the co-op, we grew to the educational, the Costa Rica. You teaching that was your first program?
Yes, from the co-ops, then I started teaching my online classes. And so for a while I was doing co-op in-home and online. And then as the online continued to grow and grow and grow, and I had more and more classes and more students, eventually I had to phase out all of the in-person stuff. So then at that point is when I basically became a digital nomad, and I could go anywhere I wanted. I had been traveling the world during every school break, during the summers, spring break, and the holiday breaks at the end of the year. And so now that I didn't have to be anywhere at a set time, I could be anywhere. And that is what brought me to Panama.
So, yeah, that's how I was getting there. I was like, okay,
See,
this is how we got here. Okay.
No,
so how long do you stay in these places?
Well, we live in Panama. Okay. So yeah, our residency is here. We've been living here for almost 4 years now.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a nice little country to live in.
Nice. That's so awesome. And I'm sure that the marine life is very beautiful because the waters are clear.
Yes. Well, we have 2 properties in Panama. I'm at my mountain property right now, where it's nice and cool, but we also have a property on the Caribbean. We have 13 acres oceanfront with a coral reef right there. And hold on. Stop it. And every year we bring our marine science students. So I teach a full year of marine zoology, and I also teach a full year of oceanography. And those students qualify to come to Panama at the end of each year. And we do a 5-day intensive marine science workshop. So we've done that now for 3 years. We'll be going on our 4th year in 2025. So yeah, we have families from all over come in. We all come together, and it's just hands-on marine science for 5 days straight. The kids are tired, exhausted, filthy, and loving it the whole time.
Nice. And this is still middle school to high school?
Middle school to high school, yes.
Oh, this is so beautiful. So with your online program, what is your cap for that? Like, is it just you still teaching, or do you have a team?
Well, we kind of have a team. It's a family-owned business. So it started out just me. And then my son has a degree in history. So now he's our history teacher. So he teaches history and geography. And then his wife, she has an arts degree. So she started out with visual and performing arts and has expanded into language arts, grammar and literature. So we're the three teachers. We're the only three teachers. We'll always only be the three teachers. So it's a little family run business, but we can offer science, history, language, visual, and performing arts.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is all virtually now.
Yes, everything is virtual except for my workshops once a year. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And so, okay, let's go back to your younger son. You
Mm-hmm.
homeschooled him throughout his all the way to the end, or did he eventually end up going
from
to
10th to the end? Yeah, from 10 years, well, 11 years old, from 11 years old until he graduated at 18. Yeah.
Okay. And he appreciated that atmosphere more than he didn't want to go to.
I don't know if he appreciated it. When you're dealing with teenagers, I don't know how much they appreciate anything. But it really was the only option for him.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the only option for him. Going to public school just was not, it just was not an option, mainly because, he was a little socially, and emotionally immature for his age. So that set him up for a lot of bullying. Plus the fact that while he could speak English, his grasp of being completely fluent, wasn't around in his teenage years exactly. So, these kids would be talking about things that would kind of go over his head. And, we just found it was a better environment to just keep him at home and homeschool.
Gotcha. And how was your schedule with that? Because I know you had the co-op and the online and the things that you were doing. Was it more independent with what you gave him?
He was doing, yes. As he got older, it was more independent. It wasn't me so much hands-on. So probably from him being like 11, 12, 13, 14, I was very, very hands-on. And then as he was getting into mid-high school and getting ready to graduate, we went a more independent route with him because he worked better that way. And then for certain subjects, I would outsource. We didn't have all of the online teachers like we have now. So, I had to find local tutors, to meet with him, and especially for things like grammar. He and I would butt heads over grammar because, as you can imagine, that would be a really difficult thing for him. Math, easy. The numbers are the same. When you're talking about spelling and grammar and all of that, I found that it was better for our relationship to outsource certain subjects. So
I like that.
Yeah. Science, no problem. Math, no problem. Anything language arts, huge problem. So we just took me out of that equation and saved the relationship. So, and I think that's, something I want parents to know is that you don't have to be alone in this. You don't have to do everything. I was on another podcast a couple of months ago, and the woman the host was saying how she and her daughter just did not see eye to eye when it came to math. And so she would outsource math, and it changed everything. And so it was just that one subject. And she said, me and my son, no problem with math. Me and my daughter, big problem with math. So, don't ruin your relationship over subjects. There's so many ways to outsource these days.
Yes, no, I love that advice. It's definitely, I encourage it all the time. Understand?
Yeah.
You do not have to teach it all. You do not have to know it all.
No, you absolutely don't. I mean, you're so fortunate these days to have so many resources there. And then that kind of brings me back around to the new business, IndyEd.com.
Yeah.
The fact that we do have so many resources available to us now. Like I said, when I started in 2006, if I needed secular science, I had to go to Amazon and get a public school book to teach from that. There weren't options. If the pickings were slim, let's just say that. And so, I got into online education, like I said, in 2015. And back then I could list one of my classes on Facebook and fill it with, 30 kids for an async class within a day. It was easy breezy, especially being secular, because there weren't as many resources out there for secular families. As the years have gone by, especially during COVID and post-COVID, we've seen this massive explosion in educational opportunities. Like, there are 300 teachers for every topic you could possibly think of. There's so much curricula out there that it gets overwhelming for parents.
Yeah.
And so I saw in the Facebook groups that parents were always coming in asking for recommendations for this or that or the other. And it's the same things being recommended all the time. It's just, they're just recycled because it's what people hear, it's what people see. And I thought there's so many educators out here that are not being seen. I mean, I'm fortunate. I've been around a long time. My website's been around a long time. I have a reputation. I have a mailing list. What if you're an educator just trying to get into it now with all the noise that's out there? You don't just build a website and people just come flooding in. In 1999, sure. In 2024, absolutely not. So there needed to be a better way. If I had parents that needed, let's say, a high school secular biology asynchronous class, put that into Google. You will get everything but a high school asynchronous biology class back. It's just not an efficient way to find all of the resources that are out there.
Yeah.
So I thought, what if we could put all of these resources into one database that was easily searchable by parents so they could find exactly what they need?
Yeah.
There are some directories out there that have businesses listed. But for example, my school, Next Level Homeschool, it's listed in some of these online directories, but when you pull it up, it's not speaking to the fact that I have almost 100 classes available and what all of those classes are. It's just my business. That really doesn't tell you a lot. So IndyEd.com was created to have a database for, we have online classes, we have resources, we have in-person experiences, and we have all-in-one schools. And so educators can come in, create a profile, and then list every single one of their products. Right now, we have over 150 educators, over 1,600 listings in the database. And parents can go in and they can sort, do they want secular? Do they want religious material? What age do they want? What subject do they want? What subcategory under that subject do they want? Yeah, they want science, but do they want biology, chemistry, physics, earth science? What do they want? So, and if their child has neurodivergencies that need to be addressed by an educator, they can search for that as well and find educators that are specialized in kids with special needs. So you can go on to the IndED.com database, put in all your parameters, hit enter, and you're going to narrow down your results to the educators that are offering precisely what you want. And so we launched it June 1st, and it's really been going well. And I'm really looking forward to seeing it grow and become just a major resource for the homeschooling community.
Nice. It puts me in the mind of like Outschool. You familiar with Outschool?
I'm very familiar with Outschool, and a lot of people say that. So let me kind of give you the difference between IndED.com and Outschool. Outschool, only secular. So you can't have anything religious there.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yes.
Okay.
Only online classes. So no resources, no all-in-one schools, no in-person experiences. They control the content. They control what teachers can teach, how they can teach it. They control the tools that the teacher can use.
Really?
And yes, and the educators do not have any outside communication with their students. And also Outschool takes 30% of every single student that's paying that educator. Outschool gets 30% of that. It's a huge cut.
Really? Oh my God.
Yes. And a lot of people aren't aware of all of these things.
Yeah, no, I haven't looked into the platform. I just, I've seen
Yeah.
it and I get their emails all the time, new classes, but I haven't looked at it myself. So yes, teach us.
That's how they work. And that's how most of the large learning platforms work. We're not a learning platform. We do not sell any classes on IndED.com. We are strictly a facilitator to connect learners with educators.
Nice.
So educators just pay a flat marketing fee to us per year. That's it. We do not want commissions, service fees, any of that. Just pay a flat fee to put your listings on. Nice. And then when a parent finds an educator they want, they can contact that educator directly through that educator's email, or they can hit purchasing information, which will take them to that educator's website directly. And then they purchase classes and communicate directly with that educator. IndED.com has no control over the content, no control over the cells, no control over any of those things. We just connect learners and educators. Yeah.
I love that. Yes, yes. Yeah, no, I know I talk about Outschool platform, but I have not really been up there like as far as finding out that type of information. I just know that they have a plethora of classes
Oh,
that
they have
people,
tons. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
there's pros and cons to everything, right? So, I
yes.
would say pros are that, they do have a ton of teachers on there, and, they do bring in the learners because they have this huge marketing budget,
Mhm.
right? But I'm kind of the mindset, IndyEd stands for independent
And that's
education.
what I felt like it did.
Yes,
Yes.
it's for independent education. I really don't like the idea of corporations moving into our independent education homeschool communities
And then
so
taking
much. I
so
mean,
much from them,
yeah,
30% per student, like for every student. That's predatory.
yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And so when you're dealing with corporations, I mean, be it Outschool or any corporation, they all work the same. And I mean, it's not news to anyone. It's not some, big breaking news story here. But,
No.
when you have corporations, they are beholden, they're beholden to their investors. And at IndyEd.com, we're beholden to our educators and our learners only,
Yeah.
because we're not profiting off of those transactions between learners and educators.
Yeah, because that put me in the mindset of Amazon. 'Cause I talk a lot
It
about
is.
Amazon.
It is. I mean, we've been, one of my marketing partners likened us, and they said, IndyEd.com is kind of like the Etsy of education. It's
Nice.
just a place where individuals can come and just showcase all of their products. People who are looking for products can come and search for products. I mean, the only difference is Etsy actually sells the products and you have to pay a commission, whereas we let you go direct to the source. But that's a better analogy, is us with Etsy versus with us with Outschool.
Yeah, I got you. No,
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that that clarity. I appreciate
Yeah.
that all the way. So you all launched in June and y'all have
Mm-hmm.
over 150 educators so far signed up.
Yes.
And I'm
And
sure
we're
that's just
signing up new ones every week. Yeah.
I was gonna say I'm sure that's just the beginning by all
It's
means.
just the beginning. Yeah. I mean, with over 1,600 listings already, it's pretty amazing. I mean, are there still gaps in the database? Absolutely. But I'm working really hard to fill them. We have the majority of what we have right now is online classes. I'm working really hard to fill in more resources. So more downloadable resources, more hard copy resources, books and kits and manipulatives and things like that. And then once we kind of get those gaps filled, I'm really going to start working on the in-person experiences thing as well, because we have so many homeschooling families that are traveling. I don't know if you've heard of world schooling and road schooling
Yes.
and all of this. How nice would it be to have a database where you can just go in and say, okay, we're going to be in, I don't know, Nashville, Tennessee next week. What kind of just drop in
Don't
opportunities
you
are available for my
know?
child?
I need that. Okay, so my lovely just
Mm.
asked me about gymnastics because I'm signing her sister for the online debate club. So
Ah,
we were,
okay.
but we travel so much, like we travel a lot. And so with her gymnastics, I'm like, I really have to figure it out because I can't just put her in just, I said, I don't want to sign you up and then we're gone. And that's usually
Right.
how it will be. It's like we're here for a couple weeks or maybe even a month, but then we're gone
Right.
for another month or a
And
couple,
most of these companies want like kind of long-term
yes.
contracts. They don't want a kid that's just dropping in for a day or two. But
Right.
what I want to really start doing is talking to some of these businesses and saying, look, there is a market out there for these drop-in students. Gymnastics, dance, I mean, just karate, jujitsu, just all of those kind of little in-person experiences. And also there are so many little micro schools that are popping up now, forest schools
Yeah.
and things like that.
Yeah.
So if we can get the ones that will allow those drop-ins and have those kids be able to come in and come in for a week or two, at the max, that would be awesome.
Yeah, that was literally a talk we just had about 2 days ago. And I'm just like,
That's so funny.
I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna figure it out. But like I would love to be able to go to a resource where I'm just able to say, okay, well, this is our route. This is where we're gonna be for however long, especially when we're traveling
absolutely.
during the expo season. Um, yes, no, I love that. Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you
yeah.
for doing that
So
work.
you're welcome. I'm working on it. It's a lot.
Oh, I
So
know it.
yeah, between running the school and starting this, it's a lot of work, but I think in the end, it's really going to be, a great resource for the community.
Of
Yeah, and a
course.
great way for educators to get seen without having to, go the corporate route and be on these platforms.
Yes, and so with the educators, because I know you said y'all basically take care of marketing, what do they receive when signing up for your platform?
So when an educator signs up, they're going to be able to get listings. So, we have 3 different marketing tiers. We start at $99 a year. I mean,
Okay.
it doesn't get cheaper than that.
No.
I wanted to make sure that every educator, no matter if they had one class that they taught or if they had 500, that there was a package for them. So we have 3 tiers, 99 a year. That gets you 10 listings for online classes and 10 downloadable resources or 10 resources. So you basically get 20 listings for $100. So for $5 a year, if you have 20 of them, it's kind of a no-brainer. And then we go up in packages, $199, you get 25 classes, 25 resources, so you get more. And then our top package is $499, and educators get a lot more visibility with that. We do paid social media ads for them. We do email blasts. They're featured on our homepage, that sort of thing.
Gotcha.
But in addition to just having the listings, even if they're just a $99 month educator or a year educator, we have marketing partnerships with some of the largest Facebook groups out there. We have marketing partnerships with 3 huge Facebook groups that total over 350,000 members combined. And we have daily posts and that our members are able to exclusively post in to get visibility. We have monthly promotions. We have lots of things coming up. So it's not just give me some money, put your stuff up on my website, and that's the end. It's a marketing program. So I'm really trying to work with educators to help them market their class, increase their visibility, because I know most educators are not marketing experts. They're not graphic design experts. They're not SEO experts. They're not, they're educators. So I'm trying to kind of help them as either they're just getting started or as they're moving off of a platform to kind of have a safe place to land where they're visible and they're getting some marketing support.
Nice. Yes. So y'all are doing the lead work where they can focus on the
Yes, where they can
education part.
focus on educating. But I mean, they have to put the work in too, because again, this is independent education. And if they're going to be an independent business person, when you're in business for yourself, there's a lot of things you have to do. And, we provide support systems for those sorts of things, but they have to put in the work for sure.
Definitely. Oh, you got a lot going on. No, these are great. So why is education, like, how did this become such a passion for you, especially going from a pet store owner to like, like
Right.
how did we get here really? I mean, I know that you
Well,
homeschooled your young son, and I get that, that
mhm.
probably opened your eyes to a lot, but then for you to go on, I guess the supply and demand, I asked the question. Let me receive the answer. Go ahead.
Well, supply and demand doesn't hurt, right? But it's funny, when I was a child, playing school was my favorite thing to do. And I was always the teacher. Okay. Oh, I lost your audio. I lost your audio.
Oh,
There it is. Oh, nope.
okay. Like
Okay,
this
there you are.
button's so sensitive. Yes. No, I said me too. I was like,
Yeah,
because I came with all the recyclable, like I came with all the recycle worksheets and everything. So I was always a teacher. Like I have all the supplies.
absolutely.
Do you have the supplies? You don't, do you? So
No,
I'm the
then you're
teacher.
not the teacher. Exactly. And I would assign that work and I would grade that work. And it was like my favorite thing to do as a kid. And I had
Yes.
always said I was going to be a teacher.
Right.
And this is a crazy story. We're not even going to get into all that, but I had always said I was going to be a teacher, and I changed my my major in the middle of my senior year in high school to marine
Really?
biology. But
Okay.
I had planned on being a teacher. So that passion and that blood and that whatever that teacher gene is, I always had
Right.
it. Yeah, I always had it. So then once I started homeschooling, then it was really able to start coming out again. And yeah, so it's always been there.
Nice, nice. No, I'm gonna share with my 10-year-old because she's an animal lover. I feel like your love of
Ah,
animals may have taken over. But we always talk, she talks she talks about her future house and the type of animal she wants to have in it. And I'm gonna throw
mhm.
out there, well, maybe you should just do a pet store so you don't have all the animals in your house. Maybe you should, think about opening up your own pet store because I think so
Absolutely.
dope. Like
Absolutely.
especially to have the exotic animals she was trying to have. Like, yeah, I feel like that'd be more legal there. Like,
Yeah. Absolutely. No, encourage anything your kids are passionate about, no matter how woof woof you think it is,
right.
encourage it because you never ever know where it might lead. If
Yeah.
you had asked me in 1988 when I graduated high school and was off to Texas A&M University at Galveston because I was going to be a dolphin trainer, if you ever and no one could tell me different, if you had ever told me that that degree was going to lead me to where I am now in life, I would have laughed at
Right.
you. Yeah, I mean, I got to college and it was dolphin on the brain, dolphin on the brain, and I got there and I fell in love with fish, and then I fell in love with coral, and then I would shun all the what we call the dolphin huggers.
Mm.
They're not serious marine biologists; they're just dolphin huggers. Us ichthyologists, we're the serious marine biologists.
Love
So
that.
it definitely it changes over time, and you never know where your child's passions are going to lead them.
Yeah.
Did I give up on my dream of teaching? Yeah, for a while. I never thought I would be a teacher, but look how it came
Full
back around.
circle.
Full
Yeah.
circle. So always encourage whatever your kids' passions are, encourage and support. And, maybe it'll just be a dead end. Maybe they'll learn something from it that will be the next step for them. Or maybe they
Right.
will just dive completely into it and that will be a huge part of their life. You never know.
Yeah, no, their lists are plentiful as far as their careers. Like they have so many, like, but a subject I feel most kids, if not all, look, if not all, I don't try to generalize all too much, but I feel like most kids love science. Like they love
Most
science.
They do. And when I hear a parent saying that their kid doesn't like science, what that tells me is that that child has never had a proper education in science. That
Mm,
child has never been introduced to science in a way that they can understand it.
mm,
Um, Science is so broad. There's so much. I mean, chemistry and biology and zoology and physics, and there's just such a broad range
yeah,
that
you
you
gotta
just
like
can't say
something.
my kid hates science. Yeah,
Right? You
no,
gotta like something
someone's
in
just not teaching your child science in the right way. I've
yeah.
had so many parents come to me and say, my kid did not like science. And now, after taking your classes, they are thinking about pursuing a degree in science. They couldn't
Mm,
believe it. But that is what setting a high bar, setting a high standard, not treating children like they're idiots, which is something that drives me crazy. Treating,
mm-hmm.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 year olds like they're three and can't absorb knowledge. Believe me,
Right.
all of those kids, do not ever tell them, but they're all smarter than us. They all
Right.
have the ability to learn so much more and absorb so much more, but don't tell them, they'll take over the world.
What was that?
But
Yeah.
you have to treat them not like they're little kids. I expect a lot from my students, and I put that bar up here and they come to it. And so then I'll
Yeah.
move it a little higher and a little higher and a little. I don't do this, which is what I feel the public school system does, is continue to lower
Yes.
for students. And wherever you put that bar, if you can engage with your students, they're going to try to meet that bar. So if you set it way down here, they'll meet it and they won't go over it.
Exactly.
Set it up here, they'll meet it. They might even go over it.
Yes. No, I agree. I feel like we definitely dumb down our geniuses. I feel like they like people always laughed about how I talk to my girls, like because from probably like 6 months, especially with my oldest, when I was telling her, use your words. Like, you want to talk to me, use your
That's what my oldest son says.
I was like, use your words, honey. Like, you want to, we're trying to communicate here. I need you to use your words. But I've always talked to them in that manner, you know.
Absolutely. And, you know, my oldest son is like, you know, his vocabulary is like way beyond mine, even at this point. But when he was little, we weren't all goo goo gaga, blah, blah, blah. No, it was, I mean, he was raised by two very young scientists. That was the language, right? You better figure it out because we're not coming down to your level. Right. You better step up your vocabulary.
I have read too many books. Conversation. Read too many books for me to be. Yes, no, I totally agree. I've always, my students even tripped out like that. They were surprised that I talked to my girls in the same manner because I've always taught middle and high school. And me talking to a 4-year-old or 5-year-old in front of them, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, Miss Carter, you talk to them like us?" Yes. How are they going to get to where you're at if I, continue to? Like, no, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Yes. But they're so smart all the time.
They're so smart.
I blame the milestones. Like, I really do. I blame those milestones and the standards, like what they tell you your child should be doing at a certain age.
Yeah,
I feel like
the standards.
Yeah, people hold them too concrete on like, oh, well, they just need to be doing this by this or this. But what if they're capable of doing it earlier? What if they're capable of doing it like, now?
Absolutely. And what if they're capable of doing some things above the standards and some things below the standards? Does that mean we take the things that they can do above the standards and dumb them down? No, that means we support and encourage what they're ahead in, and we support and encourage what, and I hate to say ahead and behind, and support and encourage, the things that they may be struggling with. It's education. We could do a whole nother podcast.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we're not going to go down there. We're not going to go down there. But no, I appreciate all that you have created. I'm very excited to check out your platform, the IndyEd.
Thank you.
Sounds really amazing. Have you merged the two, or you have to find you on?
No, they are completely separate. They will always be completely separate businesses.
Okay, where do we find you?
Well, if you want my online school, that is nextlevelhomeschool.com. And if you want the database of all kinds of educators from all over the world and everything that they have to offer, that is IndYed, INDYED.com.
Okay, awesome. And those links will be available in the description as well. Before I let you go, can you give me 3 things you would tell homeschoolers, new homeschool families that are venturing into this lovely world of ours? Just 3 things that you would like them to take with them.
All right. So 3 pieces of advice for brand new homeschoolers. Number 1, you do not have to recreate school at home. Your child does not have to sit at a desk for 6 to 7 hours a day with a book in front of them. Okay. You have to realize that in a public school setting, yes, they're there for hours and hours, but how much actual education is happening during that? How much of that time is teachers trying to manage a classroom? How much of that time is changing classes or disruptions or whatever it might be? How much actual learning is happening? Not a whole lot. Look at test scores. So, you don't have, your child does not need 6 to 7 hours a day of sitting at a desk with a book or sitting in front of a computer. So that's the first thing. Don't try to recreate public school at home. The second thing I would say is you need to figure out what your child's learning style is, especially if you're coming from a public school type system where everyone is kind of put into the same box. Yeah, there may be some IEPs out there that either get serviced or don't, but pretty much everyone is in the same box and everyone is taught in the same way. The beauty of homeschooling is that you don't have to do that. You can personalize and individualize an education that fits your child's needs and goals. And that does not necessarily have to look like anything that's going on in public school. So that's the other thing. Realize that you can personalize that education. For example, I'm teaching marine zoology to 10-year-olds. Okay, tell me what school system a 10-year-old is going to get marine zoology in. They're not. So you're able to help follow your children's passions and expand and broaden their educational horizons with homeschooling. So do that. Don't just get stuck in, it's fourth grade reading, I need a fourth grade reading curriculum. Not necessarily. And that takes some time. You know, you're not going to just wake up one day, say, I'm a homeschool mom and do it perfectly. Raise your hand if you have homeschooled your child perfectly from beginning to end. I see no hands. So,
No
you know,
hand.
don't get caught up in the, you know, I'm going to run my child. They're going to be behind. They're not. Take some time, figure out their best way of learning. Are they an auditory learner? Are they a visual learner? Are they more of a hands-on type learner? Figure that out and then support that. And then I would say number 3 would be, don't get overwhelmed. And you're going to get overwhelmed. So, I mean, it's basically useless information, but take a deep breath. And like I was saying, you're not going to ruin your child. Your child is not ahead or behind unless you are doing absolutely nothing to facilitate their education. So, you know, work with your child. Include your child in their curriculum choices. Don't just throw a bunch of whatever it is in front of them and say, do this, right? Include them in what you're doing. Because I think that's what homeschool should be about, is that child embracing their education and being able to make decisions about their own education, which is something they're absolutely not able to do in public schools. So give them that freedom. You really might be surprised at what your kids will come up with. Indeed. And again, it's not going to be perfect all the time. It's not going to be, you know, I don't know, Little House on the Prairie. Everybody's with a happy ending at the end of every episode. You know, there's going to be tears. There's going to be fighting. There's going to be screaming. There's going to be yelling. There's going to be slammed doors, thrown pencils, all of it. And then the next day is another day to start over.
Wait, that's all in one day? Wait, hold on. Yes, no, I thank you for that. I think it all comes to us really seeing these little people as little people, not just children or kids, but understanding
absolutely
are some big souls walking around in some little bodies, and they have opinions, they have voices, they have thoughts. Listen to them, incorporate, like you said, make sure they're a part of their what it is that they're learning about. Make sure you talk to them about that. That is so important. So important. Yes. And outsource. That's what this is all about.
Outsource. You don't have to do it all. You have thousands of opportunities at your fingertips.
Yes.
Utilize them. And there's something for every budget. I mean, outsourcing doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be having to pay, you know, $100 a week or something. You know, there's stuff for every budget. You just have to get out there and find it. So, you know, don't just go into a Facebook group and say, what's the best, you know, whatever curriculum. There is no best.
Yeah.
The best one is the one that works for your child.
Yeah. And I was going to say that best is for them. Like whoever you're asking, they're going to tell you their best. They're not telling you what's going to be your best. So understand that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you've got to get out there and you got to do the legwork. Like if you take the responsibility on of homeschooling your child, it's your responsibility to do some legwork and make sure you're finding the best resources for your child's individual needs.
Indeed. And understand that there's plenty of platforms like IndyEd who are doing that work for you. And all you have to do is go and look and search and pinpoint what it is you're putting your criteria, what it is you're looking for. And they've already done the hard part for you.
Right. So, and talk to those educators. Don't just click a class and buy it. Talk to those educators. Right. Make sure. I mean, would you just pluck some babysitter off of the internet and plop them, you know, in front of your kid? No, you wouldn't, you know. Same thing with educators. Talk to them. See how they're going to be able to best accommodate your child. Because even though you might have 4 educators that are teaching the same exact class with the same exact information, all of those educators are going to have a different style. And so you need to find an educator that matches, you know, that their teaching format and style matches your child's learning style. Yeah. You know, my school is great. It's not for everyone. Yeah. It just isn't. And for the people that it's for, it works fabulously. And for the people it's not for, it doesn't work at all. That doesn't make my program the best program. It doesn't make my program the worst program. It makes my program a program that works for the individuals that it's intended for.
Indeed. I love how you put that. Yes,
Mhm.
yes. So families, continue to go forward in all that you are doing, but understand that you are supported in so many, so many, so many ways. There are passionate individuals out there creating schools, creating everything that you need to make sure that you are confidently leading your children's educational journey. So just trust the process and keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay. Homeschool your kids.
Absolutely.